Hello, I'd like to talk about a book that I wrote 18 months ago, Nurturing the Song Within. I'm just going to put it on sale now. It's a little out of sync with my most recent work, but it does approach the same subject, that is, nurturing the connection with our inner world, but from a different perspective, from a Western as opposed to Zen Mountain Journal, my work now, which is Eastern in its perspective. But I wrote it 18 months ago. I tried to put in it the art that meant the most to me from the last 30 years of being a working artist. I've painted and sold about 3,000 paintings in that time. And I founded the Heron Dance art journal 30 years ago, mid-90s, and published it for 20 years as a print journal. Initially, it was just a newsletter of interviews. I interviewed people who devoted their lives to some concept of a greater good, people who worked in refugee camps in the inner city with addicts, volunteered in prisons. In fact, I volunteered in a prison to get to understand the work better, the Woodburn Medium Security Prison in New York State, with the Quaker Alternatives to Violence program. But people who work to protect wilderness, just all kinds of work to rehabilitate injured birds. The Raptor Trust in Millington, New Jersey, rehabilitates and releases thousands of birds a year. And I got to know the founders, Len Susi and his wife. And Frederick Back had a profound influence on the work, the creator of the film The Man Who Planted Trees, for which he received an Oscar. But anyway, I did that work evolved into a nature journal, the human connection to the natural world. I wrote a lot about creativity. I tried a variety of different perspectives, including the extremely popular and extremely unpopular, depending on the reader, Archibald Campbell, wild artist, and his private journal, which had some minor amount of erotic content, which seemed to offend some of my readers, believe it or not. But anyway, I just went through a period. I got frustrated with all that. I shut it down for a number of years. 3 years ago, I resuscitated it as an online journal, and the print portion of it, I created books. Now Zen Mountain Journal, based on the ancient poetry of Taoist hermits, the Tao Te Ching being the best known example, but they wrote thousands of poems, some of them as beautiful and mysterious as the Tao Te Ching. But I wanted to talk a little bit about this book that is just going on sale. It's not a huge sale. I've been selling it at $95. I can't afford to sell it in bookstores because it costs me so much to produce. Everything is the absolute highest quality, Smythe sewn binding, full color throughout, hardcover, of course, first edition, dust jacket. But it approaches this subject of nurturing our relationship with our inner world through meditation and journaling from the perspective of someone creating a unique life and doing unique creative work. The rewards of that life, the joy, the meaning, but also the disappointments, the discouragement, the dead ends, the frustrations. I tried to put everything into it that I had learned over those 30 years as succinctly and clearly as I could offer it, along with quotes and poetry, my favorite excerpts on these subjects by others. And I'm going to talk a little about the content of the book and to try to summarize it to give you an idea. I think that for the right person, For someone who is truly on a search for meaning, a searcher, a seeker, a creative, someone wanting to create a unique life and do unique creative work, this is an extraordinary Christmas present and one very unique. So I wanted to make my readers aware of it. Some of the subjects that the book explores: life as a sacred journey. I mean, life either is or it isn't a sacred journey. If it is, everything sacred requires sacrifice, and this being no different than any other sacred work or endeavor or life. The journey starts with an expression of gratitude. We seek to invite into our work and life unseen influences. We invite them in through an expression of gratitude. What we express gratitude gains power in our lives. Nurturing the song within explores difficult questions as well, questions at the heart of human life, questions that many of us, myself included, would often rather avoid. But I believe that the quality of the questions that we ask ourselves determines the quality of our life. And journaling and meditation play an important role in that. A lot of this has to do exploring the roots of our psyche in our childhood and the dramas that we recreate in our adult lives, often unaware. These hidden patterns that underlie our lives determine a lot that is both positive and negative in terms of how we live and what we get out of life as adults. Having faith in our uniqueness, it's difficult, but it's crucial to creating a unique, meaningful life. The role of a journal, as I mentioned, in exploring the corners of our lives, including the dusty, hidden corners, the fearful corners, as well as the new creative ideas that want to come forth and be expressed, that only we can do, that is unique to each one of us. The relationships in our lives, some of which give us energy and some of which take it away. Energy is a major recurring theme of the book. The role of dreams in creating a life. There's no big merit to being a dreamer, but there's a lot of merit. Outstanding things happen to people who dare to dream and then dare to do something about those dreams. That's actually a quote from my interview of Verlin Kruger, canoeist. He canoed well over 100,000 miles in his life, including up the Amazon. He, believe it or not, canoed the Grand Canyon upstream. He circumnavigated Lake Superior and Lake Baikal in Russia. And it was one of the many fascinating people I've interviewed. I've interviewed 200 or 300 people over the years from all different perspectives on life. The book explores questions like, what are you living for and what do you want to be living for? Between those two paths, you can determine the identity of any person. That from Trappist monk Thomas Merton. What are the 4 beliefs on which you've based your life? Have they served you well? The book explores meditation techniques. It explores the use of guides, imaginary and real, in our journaling. It explores the role of story in our lives, the stories we tell ourselves. We are defined by the stories we tell ourselves. Cultures are defined by the stories that they tell themselves. The relationship between art and truth, the role of imperfection and beauty in art. An acorn carries within itself the dream of a mighty oak. The book asks what your life is trying to manifest. It examines the role of persistence, grit, and determination in creating a unique life. similarly examines what it means to surrender to a call, staying with that call in times of unhappiness, riding out the storms, the times of bewilderment, and hanging on. It requires a wholeheartedness. The shadow, which each of us has, and what we can learn from it and how it can contribute to our life. The role of self-discipline and self-mastery in creating a unique life. The role of money, the importance of a financial reserve in a creative life so that you have time to do really deep, thoughtful work. The theme of the book continually comes back to work of love, and it continually comes back to the role of energy, particularly the difference between focused energy and dissipated energy. The relationship between silence and wisdom. The achievement of clarity about oneself is rarely achieved, and why. The role of belief in oneself and faith. What our moods and anxiety tell us. The role of simplicity and simple living. It talks about how you can make people uncomfortable when you live a life outside the norm. The way you live calls into questions the decisions that they've based their life upon, the limitations that they've imposed upon themselves. But magic likes to live outside the box, outside the norm. So the book talks about that. Creative projects, they start off to be one thing, and they almost always become something completely different if you give them time to evolve. So those are about half the subjects explored in the book. That gives you a pretty good idea. I'd like to talk a little bit about energy and the page of the book entitled Focused Energy, and actually read it. So the underlying theme of this is a quote by Cervantes, all paths lead to the same destination, and that is the grave, but some paths give you energy and some take it away. And that in the book is expanded upon in the notion that some people give you energy and some take it away, some relationships, some work. I'll just read the section, but the overall concept is looking for people, relationships, work, where 1 + 1 = 3, where the combination is greater than the composite parts, where your strengths and skills and talent and beauty are utilized, and your weaker areas negated or made irrelevant by the connection. And I'm talking about everything here again: work, people, a path in life. So the section starts off with a quote by Jose Ortega y Gasset: "Life is a desperate struggle to be, in fact, what we are in design." And then it goes on to say, "The power of energy comes from our ability to control it. The way of nature is to take energy from the surrounding environment and use it in a unique way to support growth and reproduction. Trees do it one way, frogs another, birds in their own unique way. As living entities, we too take energy and transform it. We hold energy temporarily and focus it in a way unique to ourselves. We are conduits." Focusing is the operative word. It is difficult to focus. The tendency is randomness, the dispersion of energy. Focused energy is powerful. Dispersed energy is weak. On some paths, your energy will grow. On some, it will dissipate. Part of the process happens on a molecular level, part on a spiritual or metaphysical level. On one level, we engage in work to survive, to eat. Taken to an extreme, that is life in the wasteland, where people trade their freedom, their time, their lives for basic needs. They trade their lives for security. They work to avoid life and the risk life entails. The other kind of work is work of love. Love energy is special energy, capable of transformation. Love energy, when focused, is capable of creating beauty, transformative beauty that adds to the lives of others. Work of love grows out of our relationship with our inner world. It grows out of a connection with the current that underlies our life. To focus love energy, that relationship needs to be nurtured. We need to respect and listen to what our inner world wants to tell us. Our inner world is the reservoir that supports our resourcefulness, our ability to evolve and adapt, our ability to create. Journaling can open a portal into our inner world. We open a door and invite that world to help guide our lives. It is shy. It responds to relaxed guidance, to gentleness. It often communicates in vague images, part thoughts and part glimpses. Patterns emerge over time, sometimes. Sometimes journaling offers a path ahead that is crystal clear. Sometimes it suggests a path that is not what we want to hear. Okay, so that gives you a good idea, I think, of the kind of book it is and what it examines and who might get something worthwhile and important out of it. I printed 300 copies. I still have 100 left. And also there is a journal that goes with it that you can buy separately. I'm offering them both together for $100. There's only, I think, 10 or so of those journals that have room for readers' own writing. But as I said, 100 of the hardcover books. So together they cost $100. Separately, the hardcover is $77, and the journal for writing $49. And thanks.